that first goal from Callum Wilson, he and Hugo Lloris clatter into one another. What were your thoughts on it?
Very easy decision. I don't want to lie and say I didn't even need a second look, because I did, because there's nuance in that, right? And sometimes you miss things when you go live, but that to me was the right decision not to award anything. First and foremost, when a goalkeeper comes out of the penalty area, you got to treat him like a normal player. I mean, they get enough already benefit of the doubt when they're in the penalty area, in the 6-yard box. I mean, those are the players that have arms. They go up with their knee up against players, right? And they get calls as it is for me. But when he comes out, that's a bad touch for a field player, right? With his midriff, with his stomach. And you know what? If you look at Callum Wilson, what's he supposed to do? Get out of his way? By the way, flat-footed, didn't make any movement. I think he stood his ground. And, people also said afterwards, right, that left arm was out. I think that's just a reaction. I think he was bracing himself for contact there. So I'm glad that VAR, again, we are often very negative about VAR. They've been superb in most of the games. In this game in particular, because this was a great decision not to give a foul, because there wasn't one. If you remember, there was also there was a handball, Emerson Royale, which I think was right not to call. There was actually two handballs on that. First left proximity, and I think the silhouette, the arm was there where it needed to be, went off his body, hit his right hand as well, but because it went off his body, I wouldn't have called that as well. And on Harry Kane goal, VAR, excellent once again, because Davinson Sanchez, I mean, to me, it was absolutely inconclusive if he ever got a touch or not on this one. Of course, if he did get a touch, Harry Kane would have been in an offside position when he scored that goal. But I couldn't tell. I watched it 20 times, and VAR decided, you know what, it's got to stand. So, thumbs up for VAR in this game in particular, and a couple other games as well.
Conte's comments after the game, there were quite a few that we could pick out, but this is somebody who we don't know if he's staying beyond this season, who's saying that Spurs need 2 or 3 more transfer windows to actually be up there. It's nothing new with Conte. We know he's always saying he wants new players in, or he wants certain players if he's to come in, or the promise of certain players if he's to come into a club. Do you mind him saying these kind of things after a game, or would you prefer for him to just zip it?
No, I don't mind, because he's telling the truth. He's been telegraphing that, and he hasn't said it necessarily right. We get the meaning, but again, like Liverpool, I'm going to bring back the missing players, but even more so in the case of Spurs. I think first and foremost, when he asked and he received the players, he's bought the right players, and that's important, right? And in this game, the lack of Kulusevski, it's been a while now, so he's not an excuse, but he's an important part. Richarlison not being available, that's a miss. And just before that game, 2 massive soldiers. Those that know Antonio Conte, and you know what it means to be a soldier for a manager like Antonio Conte. If you look at Cristiano Romero and Højbjerg, who, by the way, I mean, he hasn't missed a game in I don't know how long, right? That's just too much to overcome, especially against a quality team like Newcastle. Now, could they have gotten some out of the game? I suppose they could. It's not like Newcastle are at the level of Manchester City yet, or maybe even Liverpool at their best, but those were massive losses. Not only that, it was definitely, I mean, it's out there for everyone to see what he misses. And if you do understand Conte, and I think many of our listeners do, you know how important wide game is. Emerson Royale is still not good enough. Not to the level that requires to play for Antonio Conte with 3 center backs and wing backs. Sessegnon, still not there. I hope he gets there. I think I see glimpses, but in terms of that tactical intelligence and the end product, Sessegnon's not there. Doherty has been tried, but come on. He's not a wing back. We all know it. And after that, what do? Who do you put out there? And even Perisic, again, I mean, he's kind of going downwards, right? I mean, he's never going to rekindle the best of Perisic. So those are 2 areas which you could see in this particular game so easily that he needs, not to mention that he's going to need probably another quality center back. I mean, it's not that they're bad, but I think, watching Antonio Conte and commentating Serie A for 20 some years in the past, he's gonna go after Inter, and he's gonna try to get everybody possible, right? As a center back, I think Alessandro Bastoni is going to be another one, and in the center of the pitch, I think he's going to go against whoever Inter's willing to give up on. So if it's Barella or maybe even Brozovic, I wouldn't be shocked if they make massive bids for some of the players that I've mentioned.
Thank you very much for watching ESPN FC on YouTube. For more highlights, analysis, and exclusive content, be sure to subscribe.